Yes, we have Toby calling in from London. Looking forward to this. We have Alice from Gulfport. Is that Mississippi? Or
Yes.
okay, Mississippi. Oh, yay! We have Central America, Detroit, London, Mississippi in the house.
I'm also an author in the San Francisco Bay Area as well, Concord, California.
I'm an author and I'm here in Biloxi, Gulfport, Mississippi, but I'm also from New Orleans, Louisiana, and that's where my good friend Linda Faye is right now. Thanks for jumping on.
So the authors, you can send me something in the chat when you're ready to start, or if you want to wait a little while longer.
It's okay with me if we start. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready when other people are.
I am too.
All right. So just so that everyone is aware, I'm recording this. So if you don't want to be recorded and don't want to show up on Life Changing Writing YouTube channel, yeah, you can cover your face. So welcome and thank you for being here for the Life Changing Writing Spring Awakening. We have 3 wonderful writers who have been in the program for the past 8 weeks, working on all types of writing, different genres, experimenting and deciding how they want to express themselves this time around with you all. So I want you to know, I'm looking at my notes. So today is a very special day for the writers. Alicia, Tiara, and Keely will share what they've been working so hard on for the past 8 weeks in the course. The work that they are sharing is work in progress. So it's unfinished, and your presence here is a part of their growth process as writers developing their writer voice. Sharing it publicly is an important aspect of developing their writer voice. So everyone comes into Life Changing Writing with different writing projects, as well as different writing habits and practices. But regardless of one's writing goals or experience coming in, we grow together and we only measure ourselves against our own growth. So after they've read their selections, we will have some time for Q&A, where you can ask them about their process and their stories. Until then, just sit back, relax, and enjoy your spring awakening. Because they will be sharing we'll be sharing in an alternate format. I'll read from all of their bios now. Okay. I'm going to make sure that everybody's on mute there we go. Okay. Okay. So we have Alicia Johnson Perry. She helps individuals and nonprofits. Pursue their philanthropic passion as a certified fundraising executive. She has advanced social justice causes throughout the U.S. Gulf South, fundraising over $20 million through grants and content creation as a fundraising specialist over the past 16 years. She is a New Orleans native, as she has stated. Alicia has bylines in Gulf Coast Women magazine, is a Highlights High Five author, and serves as critique coordinator with the Louisiana Mississippi Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. I'll ask that everyone please mute yourself. I'll mute people so that everyone is muted. Okay. She serves as critique coordinator with the Louisiana Mississippi Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. She is also an avid walker, Scrabble competitor, and burgeoning gardener. Alicia, can you raise your hand so everybody can identify you there? We have Alicia. Tiara, well, actually, I'll do Tiara last because I'll read it in the order that they're going to present. So Keely Mudd is a youth and community development worker and co-founder of the organization Create Without Borders, which supports artists to use their skills as a tool for advocating for the rights of refugees and people seeking asylum. Most recently, bringing together over 100 organizations and individual artists to create a program of art, music, theater, film, and creative campaigning in a festival to celebrate Refugee Week in Lewisham, Southeast London. Keely, born and raised in Hackney, East London, is currently on a year-long trip across Central America. This has, of course, influenced her writing. Keely, can you raise your hand so we can see? Yes. And we have Tiara. Tiara is a rapper, singer, songwriter, poet, comedian, and storyteller who is a proud mother of 3. A Bay Area native, she spent most of her youth and early adulthood straddling the fence between chasing her dreams and making ends meet. She is the founder of Braided Beams Incorporated, which hosts workshops that promote self-love, self-sufficiency, and unity among Black girls and women. And she is a known performer in the Bay Area's poetry community. Drawing from her various experiences, she writes to uplift and give voice to those who have similar journeys. Sierra, can you raise your hand so we can see? There it is. Okay, you all are in for a treat. We are going to have alternating selections between Keely and Alicia, and then we will, Tiara will take us all the way out at the end. All right, and so it is. We are ready. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I'm Maricia Gabriel, founder of Life Changing Writing. All right, thank you for being here. And Keely, whenever you're ready, you take your deep breaths and you start.
Okay, just get my work up. So this first piece that I'm reading to you is called Marnie and Tia, and it's part of a longer story that I'm working on about non-romantic love and focusing on a friendship between 2 women at different stages of their lives. And this is the beginning of that story. She is my confidant and my confidence. She is the only person in the world who knows everything about me, my best parts and my worst moments. She is love and support through them all. She is the sharer of memories from childhood and adolescence. She is wisdom and advice in adulthood and parenthood. She is excitement and comfort at the start and end of romances. She is the constant through other friendships. She is strong, she is determined, she is driven. She is kind and loving. She is my best friend, and I don't know what I would do without her. Hackney, 1986. Marnie, Tia whispered to her friend, let's be friends forever. The 2 small girls sat close to one another, knees pulled up to their chests as they perched on the step in front of the red door, a large tin 40 above the lion knocker. One with wispy blonde hair and the other with thick black hair, both pulled into long plaits winding down their backs to their bums. Small strands of hair falling out of the plaits and about their faces. They smiled broadly at one another and grabbed each other's hands. Yes, said Tia excitedly. Let's be friends forever and live together and be mummies together. And I'll be a space person. And what do you want to be? Marnie screwed up her face in concentration at the thought of this very important question. Either a mermaid or a scientist, she said. She looked at her friend who nodded her approval. They smiled again. Their faces were painted with hearts all about their cheeks and foreheads. The signs they had held up excitedly earlier in the day now lay either side of them. Paper hearts stapled onto short sticks with the message, vote with your heart, a call to support the area's first female to stand for councillor. Marnie and Tia, they heard a call from inside the house. People always said their names like that together. Marnie and Tia, one sound rolling off the tongue without pause, as if they were talking to just one person. It made sense, really. They were much more likely to be together than not. Playing together with broken toys in the backroom corner of a damp community centre while their parents plotted revolution, handing out leaflets or holding the banner at the front of weekly demos, or making mud pies in the backyard of one of their Hackney communes. Sometimes they were joined by other children, sometimes not, but always together. Yes, they shouted in unison without moving from the step. Time for pizza, came the call from inside the house. Yummy, the girls shouted back, again in chorus. They looked at one another and quick as a flash yelled, Jinx, as they burst into a fit of giggles, pulling each other up to head inside.
Thank you, Keely. Oh, oh, look at all the supportive, smiling faces. All right. And so next, we are going to have Alicia, who will present an excerpt from the children's book that she's working on. Take it away, Alicia.
Yes, thank you. This has been a journey. This Callie's Big Hair Day is a story that I started probably about 5 years ago, and it really has it started off as a picture book, so I really thought I was done, and now I'm really grateful to be in this class, just to allow myself to give myself to the writing and let the writing show me where it wants to go. So this is no longer a children's book. It's more like a middle grade book for fifth graders versus a picture book for kindergartners. So Callie hopped off of the bus and sprinted over pale green grass splinters that stretched from the cement fissures towards the sun's rays. She hurdled the sidewalk cracks toward home, skipping over lifeless weed blooms flattened by a steady stream of bus riders and scorched by the stifling heat. "Hi, Mr. Washington," Callie gasped, running past the elderly man washing his car. Mr. Washington always looked ready for church, donning a fedora even while waxing his 1986 Crown Buick in a white short-sleeved t-shirt. "Hey, my love," Mr. Washington said, his forearm pushing up the brim of his hat to catch drips of sweat approaching his furrowed eyebrows. "How was school?" He lay his cloth on the edge of the 5-gallon bucket and pulled a lifeless white handkerchief out of the left pocket of his creased gray pants. "It sure is hot today. I'll bet Big Mama has something cold for you to drink." Mr. Washington called his wife Big Mama, and she called him Big Daddy, even when they addressed each other in front of family and neighbors, and even though Callie's mama had told them that her children would always address them formally. Callie stopped at her screen door, watching hopefully as Mr. Washington increased his totter up the walkway toward his house. As he grasped the banister, folding his left hand over an intricately wrought iron black leaf that connected to a network of delicately fashioned vines, leaves, stems, and hard berries, Mrs. Washington came to the door. "I heard you coming," Big Mama said, pushing the screen door open with her walker and then transferring 2 napkin bundles into Big Daddy's hands. Callie's important news for Mama would have to wait. She had skipped her Friday visit to Miss Alice, whose house was located 2 blocks away. Miss Alice had the reputation as the best candy lady in St. Roch neighborhood. Children lined up down the porch steps, over the walkway, and onto the sidewalk for Miss Alice's signature loaded Cheetos, topped with a generous serving of ground beef, warm hot cheese, and jalapeno pepper slices for the bravest of kids. Mama only allowed Callie a short list of after-school snacks she could buy because we eat dinner as a family, not at Miss Alice's. So Callie usually stood in line for her sister Asha's fat, juicy dill pickle, a pack of whatever flavor an hour later she was craving on that day, and everyone's favorite cheap frozen dessert, the Huckabuck. Good candy ladies knew that the best Huckabucks, also called frozen cups, had a syrupy sweet juice that maintained its flavor even as the ice melted. The best cup to hold a Huckabuck was plastic, making it easiest to squeeze the sides, push up the ice treat, and flip it over so the bottom of the frozen treat stood on top like a small tower. Huckabucks with the softest, sweetest bottoms that could be bitten into or scooped with a spoon enjoyed the highest street cred, particularly as a plethora of houses were opening up shop with watered down juice to flood the Candy Lady market and make a quick Huckabuck. The unspoken rule was that the brain freeze from the 2 front teeth crunching down into this flipped block piece of ice was worth the painful and paralyzing jolt only if the Huckabuck's ice was soft and syrupy sweet from that first crunch down to the last slurp of softened ice at the bottom of the cup. "School was great," she said, discerning that Mr. Washington was not carrying Big Mama's Country Time lemonade Huckabucks, but rather what looked like 2 cookie packages. Callie strained to see whether there were any frosty treats waiting for her just behind the screen door. She decided it was okay that there would be none. Miss Washington was not a candy lady. She was a special kind of lady who made treats with only her neighbors and grandkids in mind. There would never be a long line at Miss Washington's door, so Callie and Asha would always be first, unless the grandkids were at the house, and then Callie and Asha would be next in line for whatever treat Miss Washington had in store. I have the highest class average in language arts, Callie let slip out, even though she had wanted to tell Mama first and directly. We're getting awards Tuesday, she said, as Mr. Washington hobbled over to the fence and transferred the napkin bundles into Callie's hands. Well, I declare, a chuckle gurgled up from the back of his neck, spilling out forcefully with a playful bounce. That's good, my love. He looked back toward the house. You heard that, Big Mama? Callie won a medal for studying her books. Oh, that's so good, Miss Washington said, smiling. I'm not surprised. Miss Raymond's girls are as smart as they are sweet. That's why I like to have sweet things for you, because you girls are sweet. Callie was glad Miss Washington thought she was sweet, because she knew that sometimes she acted selfish and bossy, especially with her sister Asha. She already knew as she peeked into one of the napkins that even though these weren't her favorite cookies from Miss Washington, she wouldn't be giving hers to Asha. Callie was in 5th grade and couldn't bear to see her baby sister have anything more than she did. Y'all can come if y'all want, Callie said, hoping that they might come to school for her awards this time, but expecting that they wouldn't. You know, I don't get around as good as I used to, Miss Washington said, backing into the house and gently letting the screen door close in front of her. But you know, I sure am proud of you. Thank you for the cookies, Callie said, waving good evening as Miss Washington disappeared. Even though windmills and ginger snaps were her least favorite cookies, Mom and Daddy had taught Callie to express gratitude at all times. Yes, indeed, that's good, my love. You keep on studying. You know, it's so important to mind your books over them boys. Callie smiled at the thought of Mr. Washington thinking that her mom and daddy would have it any other way about her and boys, or that they think she might even challenge a parent. Not even Callie's best friend Anne knew about her favorite piece of eye candy, as the girls in her class called him, Angel Galatas. Callie had learned by watching Angel that boys could have long, flowy hair, and that she loved how that looked, just as much as she loved her own thick, cottony hair and how it would stretch long and straight once Mama put a straightening comb on it. The only one who knew about her love for Angel's hair was her dog, Max, who would sniff around her hand as she doodled hearts around Angel's name inside of her science notebook where Mom and Daddy never looked. Yep, your Mom and Daddy should be proud. Yes, sir, she said. I still have to tell them about the award. Well, now you go on in and do that. Don't let me keep you. Okay, Callie said, slipping into the house. I'll see you tomorrow. Mama was used to Callie hanging in the balance between being at home and not quite inside. She often found Callie stopped at the front threshold, talking across the fence with Mr. Washington. He talked about his childhood trips to the country to visit his grandmother, Ma Amelie, who lived in a small city that had been mostly trees and swamps at the turn of the century, only 40 miles up the river from their neighborhood in St. Roch. In the woods near Ma Amelie's house, Mr. Washington picked berries for dessert with his siblings and cousins. In Ma Amelie's backyard, he discovered how he loved how the firm grip of his teeth gave way to the sweet, mealy flesh of a fig that was as good raw as it was spread over toast. Seated in the cusp of Ma Amelie's fig tree, he could remain for hours. Its wide, smooth-skinned stump and outstretched arms felt like Ma Amelie's hugs and gave him practice for when his peers would challenge each other to sit the longest in the nearby oak tree. Mr. Washington loved to be known as the Jungle Boy for being the country visitor who would always outclimb and outsit all of the other children. Because winning seemed important to Mr. Washington, Callie loved to share when she excelled, especially at school. There wasn't much school available for him and his people in his family and neighborhood at the turn of the century. He said, in the 1920s. He said achieving good grades was one of the highest prizes she could ever give herself. So Callie announced that she crossed over the threshold and threw her backpack onto the dining room table. I won the language award. That's good, baby," Mama said, squeezing Callie tightly and then looking into her droopy eyes, somewhat hidden under a large puff of humidity and wind-tossed bangs. Those late nights of studying and writing really paid off. Asha tried to squeeze in to make it a group hug, nearly knocking the cookies out of her hands. Max stood on his hind legs, wagging for a hug. "My pickle?" Asha asked. "I didn't stop at Miss Alice's today," Callie said, thrusting one of the napkin bundles into Asha's hands. "But I brought you this." Windmill cookies were only as good to Callie as their shape resembled wind turbines in the Netherlands, a place she had heard about in social studies class and decided to visit once she learned that children there lived in an underwater city, much like hers. Nevertheless, the cookie's sharp taste of cloves and nutmeg seemed more appropriate for Miss Washington's fall pumpkin bread and not for an after-school snack. Callie decided that she would eat her windmill cookies so Asha wouldn't have too many more cookies than she did, but Daddy could have her ginger snaps as they burned places on the back of her tongue that she liked to reserve for now and later sour sensations. And I'll stop there.
Thank you, Alicia. Yes. Let's see what we have in the comments so far. Feel free to drop in any responses and reactions that you have in the comments. We have beautiful. Amazing. Beautiful was for Keely's. We have amazing and some claps for Alicia. TT will share one of her poems right now with us. Are you ready, TT, to share one of your poems?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay, so this is one of the poems from my book, will be titled In More Ways Than One, a collection of poetry and other writing. This is G.I. Janae. Her story is omnipresent, perhaps too common to be considered for a movie. She doesn't have any box office success, but she happens to be the mother of all progress. So yes, she defends and protects, all while nurturing and cultivating, inspiring and creating, being used as a muse, always paying but rarely receiving her fair dues. Although her natural state is supple and soft, she uses her ability to shapeshift so she can be her family's rock. Nobody knows the trouble she has seen. Nobody knows but her. She has been taught to keep her business to herself, but yet to always share and spread her wealth. A life of service, she's sworn into it. But unlike G.I. Jane, who chose to fight, G.I. Janae was born into it. See, Jane was hungry for a thrill, but Janae was indoctrinated and drafted against her will. But when her man is willing to stand up for her, it's deemed as overkill. Well, since she's so magical and strong, let the strong Black woman stand alone. Let her burn her mystical candle at both ends. Let her work her gifted fingers to the bone. For if she has enough free time, she may be able to free her mind. And if her mind is freed from distraction, she just may realize where she belongs, elevated in all her glory, leading with her mind and spirit while resting her body on her throne. But where would that leave the rest of the world? Abundant, blissful, and peaceful, I'm sure. But the others are too concerned with the jealousy they'll have to endure, the music they'll have to face, the homage they'll have to pay. They don't want to bow to a queen with a name like Janae.
Thank you. Let's give it up.
Thank you.
We have some comments. Wonderful readings and such amazing writing. All right. Wow. Hand claps. Ah, beautiful. Yes. Let's take a moment to just really acknowledge the courage that it takes for these writers to get up here and do this in front of you, even though they are presenting in front of loved ones and you who they trust. But obviously, they've all invited different people. So some of you are strangers to them. But it's never easy, even in front of your loved ones. And so, yeah, and you, as you can tell, they all have such a variety and a diverse writing styles and work that they're presenting. Okay, let's see what's in the comments before we move on. Wonderful, very nice and so nostalgic, loved it. All of the readings have been great thus far. Aww. Thank you on behalf of the ladies. Okay, next up we have Keely again.
Hello again. So the second piece that I'm going to read kind of picks up with one of the characters a bit later on in her life, and it's got the working title of Tesco's. Hackney 2020. Marnie cried when she was on her own in the supermarket car park. Always the same place, the giant eyesore of a Tesco's in the middle of the roundabout off Mare Street. It felt fitting somehow. A dirty glass building brightened only slightly with a blue and red sign above the door. The E cracked down the middle and the S at a slight angle. The car park spaces faced the supermarket one way and a steady flow of cars the other, surrounded on all sides by dirty grey high-rises. The floor was littered with cans and crisp packets, and plastic bags floated up and down in the wind as they glided across the concrete, just as grey and dirty as the buildings around it. There was a comfort to this place that Marnie couldn't find anywhere in the new complex just around the corner. The glass shiny and clean and polished daily. Newly painted parking spots and flats above with bright neon-coloured panels. Marnie wondered if those living in the new flashy flats could afford rent and to shop in a supermarket just below them, that made you bring your own containers but charged double for everything. She told everyone that she came to the Tesco's because of the affordable prices and the size, but really she came for the aesthetic. Grey and drab, matching her insides. Nondescript nothingness, but huge and all-encompassing at one time. Marnie liked to watch the people coming and going from the supermarket and imagine their lives, what they'd be doing before coming to the shop and what they might do after, who they would be doing it with. She wondered if they ever felt lost like she did, here in this big city surrounded by people. Marnie noticed an older woman making her way towards the electric doors. The woman didn't need to stop for a shopping cart because she pulled her own fabric trolley behind her. Her head was wrapped in a scarf, a colourful blast to her otherwise muted tones. She wore a large dark brown coat over a green skirt and coffee-coloured nylon tights. The old woman looked frail at first. The thick soles of her orthopaedic shoes made her feet seem too large for her ankles, and she was hunched forward, her thin frame swamped by the oversized coat. But her trolley looked half full already, and she was pulling it without any obvious difficulty as she headed inside the supermarket to fill it further. Marnie's old neighbour Edith used to have a similar trolley for her weekly shopping trips until she couldn't manage them anymore, and Marnie helped her set up an online account to deliver weekly. After a while, she couldn't manage that very well either. Edith was in an old people's home now, moved closer to her daughter who left London to live by the sea. Marnie missed her friend. Before she became unwell, they would walk together once a week in London fields. Edith would tell Marnie about her daughter and her grandchildren as they walked slowly, winding this way and that to avoid the constant crowd of people streaming in and out of neighbouring Broadway Market. Broadway Market, where rows of stalls with crocheted purses and nut cheeses sat along old-timers selling bric-a-brac and messy piles of second-hand books with creased covers and slightly browned pages, folded in the corners where their previous owners had bookmarked a pause in reading. Sometimes they'd stop at the bakery for a sandwich and a packet of crisps and sit on the park bench to eat and watch people go about their lives. Marnie didn't think the sandwiches were up to much, but she loved people watching with Edith. She remembered when the bakery sold bags of 10 bagels for £1, doughy and warm and served with cream cheese and chives piled high into stylophone tubs. Now you were lucky to get a vegan panini for less than a tenner. Marnie missed her walks with Edith. She didn't know the new couple who'd moved into Edith's home. They smiled and waved when they saw her, but they never stopped for a chat. She watched the old woman nod at the supermarket security guard as she disappeared through the electric doors and wondered if she had a friend to walk with. Maybe they would meet later and walk slowly while they chatted about the weather. Or maybe the old woman would go home with a Tesco's economy microwave meal and watch the television. the exchange with the security guard and the cashier being her only human contact for the day. Marnie hoped for the former. Just to the side of the doors, Marnie saw a young mum trying to wrangle a wriggling toddler into a shopping cart with one hand while swinging a baby car seat up into the space next to him with another. What looked like a folded up shopping list clenched between her teeth. Ripped high-rise jeans and a camel puffer. Hair pulled tightly into a bun on the top of her head and held with a pink velvet scrunchie. She had perfect, thick, arched eyebrows and maybe a lick of mascara, but otherwise her face was fresh of makeup. Something about the mum felt familiar. Maybe Marnie had seen her at one of the baby and toddler groups at the library where she worked. Parents piled onto a sticky carpet, crossed legs with babies on laps and toddlers smearing food and noses and whatever else onto broken plastic toys and the already questionably stained floor. Marnie stacked shelves or beat through books as they sang the same songs each week. Wheels on the Bus, Sleeping Bunnies, and that one about flying spacemen. 5 little men in a flying saucer flew around the world one day. They looked left and right, but they didn't like the sight, and one man flew away. What a damning indictment of Earth, Marnie thought. One look at that and that little spaceman was off. The parents, well, mums usually, would all smile and clap themselves at the end of each round of singing, no matter how off tune. The mum also looked a bit like Stacey Weaver, one of the hosts of the afternoon shows that Marnie watched over lunch in the dingy staff room of the library. Well, watched was a bit of a strong word. Really, she just had the show on in the background while trying to do 100 other things between bites of her cheese and ham sandwich. There was never enough time in the day to do her job with cuts to her hours and pay, but not her workload. Marnie looked at the mum again. Yes, she definitely looked a lot like the TV host. Marnie had always liked Stacey off the telly. She seemed so real and she wasn't shouty like some of the other hosts on the show. She was always kind to guests and smiled a lot. Marnie bet that this mum was also nice. Marnie wondered if the mum, Stacey's double, ever felt lonely. Speaking to children too small to reply, alone all day but never really alone, even on the toilet. She wondered if she felt guilty that she wasn't giving the older one enough attention now the baby was here, whether she worried about the decisions she made and how every one of them would impact who these small children became. Once the baby was clipped, Stacey's lookalike leaned down to whisper to the toddler, now trying with all his might to climb out of the seat and refusing all attempts to pull the safety buckle around him. He jutted out his top lip and scrunched his eyebrows as she spoke, but whatever it was she said seemed to work as his body relaxed enough for her to pull the clip shut. The toddler wore black jeans and a flannel shirt and a jacket that almost matched his mum's. Brilliantly white trainers that were surely either new or clean daily. The baby had on a pink onesie and matched knitted hat and gloves with little white flowers on them. Marnie wondered how long Stacey spent choosing those outfits each morning and how she felt when the baby threw up just after she'd finished dressing her, or the toddler messed his shirt with paint or pen. Marnie bet that they did fun activities like that together. She bet the family shopping chart would contain flour and food colouring when they emerged from the supermarket, ready to make Play-Doh of all colours that would be stored in airtight plastic tubs. The wheel was wobbly on the cart and Stacey had to heave her weight onto the other side to keep it in a straight line as she pushed it towards the door. Watching from the car, Marnie wondered if Stacey might swap it over, but she'd evidently decided it was less physical work than finding another baby and toddler cart and getting both children moved over. Toddler and baby carts were hard to come by. Those that hadn't been wheeled home with shopping would be scattered across the car park, discarded in random corners because apparently people didn't care about getting their pound back. As the toddler babbled away and the baby's eyes started to droop to sleep, Stacey and the kids and their slanted shopping trolley disappeared through the doors. I bet Stacey's a good mum, Marnie said to herself in her mind, and then under her breath, although there was no one in the car to hear her. Better than me, anyway. Marnie swallowed hard, a lump forming between her chest and throat. She breathed deeply and let the tears roll down her cheeks as she looked up at the dark clouds through her slightly fogged windows. They were threatening a downpour. Steel grey hanging heavy and low against the light grey sky. Marnie couldn't cry at home. She had other people to care for and it wouldn't do at all to worry them. She had to make sure that they were okay. So she came here. Sometimes, like today, she cries quietly while watching others go about their daily life. Sometimes she really lets go and the tears and snot flow and merge into a salty mass on her top lip, the physical sensation taking the edge off the emotional ache. Marnie was starting to feel cold despite her scarf and gloves, but she quite liked the bite in the air. She pulled the collar of her woolen jacket up over her exposed neck and turned her eyes to the grey sky. It was definitely going to rain.
Ashe, thank you. Yes, great. We have some comments. So real, so powerful. I think that was for Tiara's, for Keely's. Gray and drab told me a lot about your character. It piqued my interest in hearing her story. Look forward to hearing why you had to write this story. Loved hearing the internal dialogue. It keeps me interested. We have applause from Dion. Yes. Ooh, during Q&A, we can find out the motive and what inspires our writers. Keely, I'm always in awe of your descriptions. Oh, the writers are complimenting each other. It is so real and accessible. Okay. If you feel like you need a little break, we can take like a 1-minute break just to stretch, to breathe, and then we'll resume with the artists' next selections. So I'll put the timer on for like just a minute for us to gather ourselves. Oh, we're all crying kills, Grace says. Marnie's loneliness expressed through her detailed observation of others' lives. Oh, Grace says we're crying in a good way. That's Keely's sister. How's everybody feeling? Maybe you can just drop in the chat how you're feeling. In general, I hope everyone's doing okay. Enjoying this time with the artists. All right, we are. It's been about a minute, but when I see Alicia and Keely, then I'll know that we can resume. Oh, and just like that. Oh, let's see. It's baby's bedtime now, but so happy to hear the phenomenal readings so far. This is from your sister, Keely. Maricia's, what a teacher. Aw. All right. So, next we'll have Alicia. And just so you know what's coming next, it'll be Alicia, Keely, Tiara, and Alicia. Or Alicia and Tiara. We'll figure that last part out. Okay, Alicia, take it away.
Okay. So I'm going to continue reading, but from a different section of this book, Callie's Big Hair Day. Let's see. So I'll pick up where we left off. Let's see. Callie's explaining her winning the award. Miss Stuckey chose me for the language award, even over Anne, who had the same average as me. I got it because I'm doing extra credit, Callie explained while washing her hands over the sink. So I will get to read one of my poems at the ceremony. Callie pulled the bread loaf from the top of the refrigerator and then began smoothing crunchy peanut butter on one slice and lots of grape jelly on the other. I love your poems, Mama said. You remind me of when I was in 5th grade. I used to write well too. You were in 5th grade? Asked Asha. Of course she was, Callie said, though she hadn't thought about it until Mama said it. I've written a lot of poems when I was younger, Mama said. I write too, Asha said, folding her arms. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You can't write yet, Callie said, but one day you'll be as smart as me. Both my girls are smart, Mama said, pulling in Asha, who pulled in Callie for a hug. Max stood on his hind legs, tail wagging. Arf, y'all can come see us get trophies on Tuesday, Callie said, petting Max's soft, curly, blonde fur. Well, I guess you'll want a special hairstyle for your special honor, Mama said. Yes, said Callie. I was just about to ask if I can get my hair straightened. No big hair for my big day. My bangs are poofy, my hair is wild. I need a style that's straight and mild. You're always rhyming, Mama said, extending pinching Callie's tiny spirals. But you have great hair. I would love to have hair as thick as yours. Maybe for you, but not for me. I love when my hair is long, loose, and free. We can do that this weekend. I know you like it straight, Mama said. Let's see if we have everything we need to straighten it tomorrow. Yes, Callie shrugged her shoulders up and down and bobbed her head back and forth to a song that only she seemed to hear. I love having long hair, she told Asha, twirling around and pulling her pigtails down to her ears. When it's straight, it looks pretty. You have beautiful hair, Mama said, and you don't have to straighten it to make it pretty. But I want it straight, Callie said, looking hopefully at Mama. Well, we have everything we need, she said, and I know you like it, special for special occasions. Thank you, Callie said, holding back her bangs, which would look like an explosion of frizzies. Bye-bye, big hair, and hello, glam. Glam was short for glamorous, and many of her favorite singers had defined what beauty looked like to Callie. While some famous people had hair like Callie's, short and thick, with tiny tight curl patterns that held their place, most of Callie's favorite singers had long, straight hair with big open curls that slung from side to side as they sang. On days that Callie came to school with her natural hair, hardly anybody noticed, and when they did, it was not to say she was pretty. Callie woke up bright and early on Saturday. The 7-day weather forecast showed rain on Monday and possibly on Tuesday. Callie noted this as she towel dried her hair section by section. She stopped and checked her drawer for the plastic rain hat. I have to remember this, she said to herself 3 times, hoping that it would sear her brain like the flat iron comb warming up in the kitchen. Eggnog. She loved the smell of her shampoo because it reminded her of his favorite holiday drink that her grandmother Mummy would top with cinnamon and nutmeg. Callie warmed the honey pomade between her palms and admired how her hair glistened as she massaged it through the sections. Whenever her hair was wet, she loved the little ringlets her hair made. It reminded her of a bowl of curly noodles, and she playfully twirled a few strands around her fingers. However, she knew that as her hair dried, it would swell into a frizzy ball, gasping for moisture. Goodbye, macaroni, she said, as she began to pull the toothy comb through her hair. Soon it would be as flat as a pancake. Are you cooking breakfast this morning? Asha asked. On most Saturdays, Callie looked forward to making her classic omelet. She was proud that Mama trusted her to chop the green onions, ham, and cheese. Asha loved drenching Callie's pancakes with maple syrup, and Daddy loved the smell of crispy bacon with sprinkles of black pepper. Not this morning, said Callie, gathering a wide tooth comb, shampoo, conditioner, detangling spray, bobby pins, and two towels. Oh, I'm getting my hair straightened today, and I don't have time. Asha imagined Callie climbing onto the ironing board. Why do you twist your mouth like that? Asha asked as Callie pulled the comb through her tangled tresses. Because it hurts, Callie said, spraying the tangler on one section and then yanking the comb even harder. Ow, Callie yelped. Arf, Max barked. Come here, Max, Asha said when Callie paused to rest her burning shoulder. Run, Max, run, Callie said as Asha ran after him with the comb. Max is lucky to be a dog. Callie thought dogs don't have to comb their hair. Mommy used to straighten my hair, Mama said, laying a towel on Callie's neck. I would sit for an hour under a hard hood that blew hot air. Callie imagined her mother standing in the same position as Mama and Mama sitting in the same seat as her. Mama used a rat tail comb to part Callie's crown and brushed oil through each section. Buzz, sang the blow dryer. An iron comb would sit atop a low flame until Mommy was ready and the comb was nice and hot. Mama pulled small amounts of Callie's hair through a curling iron. Psh, pizzazz. Did it smell like your hair was burning back then? Callie asked. Stinky. Asha fanned her nose. Exactly the same, Mama said. Hey, good looking, what you got cooking? Daddy said, walking into the kitchen, scanning the empty burners. No pancakes today, Asha offered. Oh, I knew I didn't smell bacon. That's because we're cooking Callie's hair. Daddy said, sniffing Callie's head. Smells like chicken. Hey, my chicken smells better than that, Mama grinned. Well, maybe I can get something started, Daddy said, bumping Mama's arm as he peeked into the refrigerator. Ow! Hold up, everybody, Mama said, securing the towel around Callie's neck and reaching for a small yellow tube. Mama applied a cream to Callie's ear and rearranged the towel. There will be no cooking in this kitchen this morning. Daddy fanned his hand in front of his nostrils, eyeing Asha. And it may smell like we're cooking Callie's hair, Mama said, but this is part of the process. You wanted it straight, right? Remember? Callie straightened her back and folded the top of her ear under the towel. She definitely wanted it straight. Good, Mama said. I don't want to burn you. Now hold your head up. Why do you girls put yourself through this? Daddy asked, pulling down bowls for milk and cereal. Smoke swirled through the kitchen fan blades as the hot iron flattened another section. Callie's getting pretty. I don't want bushy hair for my awards day Tuesday. I understand, Daddy said. Award ceremonies are a big deal. I've been to a few in my day when I had a nice clean bush. Daddy patted the air above his bald head. A clean bush? Asha asked. The biggest afro I could make, Daddy said. Well, I don't want an afro, Callie said. Daddy shrugged. Have it your way. But if you ask me, you're already pretty enough. After all, you take after your daddy. Mama connected eyes with him. I mean, you take after both of us, Daddy said. I just didn't know y'all would be getting your dues did, he said, fishing around his pocket. I was thinking we might have some fun with these after breakfast. Water balloons, Asha screeched, reaching towards Daddy's slingshot. How much longer? Asked Callie, bracing herself for an answer she knew well. This style has to last until Tuesday, Mama said. You play with water and your hair goes poof. Well, Max and I are already pretty, so we don't mind getting our hair wet, Daddy said, rubbing his shiny crown. Me either, said Asha. Bye, Callie. Standing in front of the mirror, Callie felt like a movie star. Her hair was now as long as Anne's, long and flowy and wispy and blowy. Callie pulled her straight, flat hair over her shoulders. She tucked some behind her left ear with a sharp, even bang sweeping toward her right one. She couldn't wait to show everyone a ponytail that swished against her neck when she walked. It was nothing like her natural one, which sat on the back of her head like a big puff of smoke. I would like to thank Mama and Daddy for making me smart and pretty, Callie giggled and said, speaking into her hairbrush. And I would like to thank my sister Asha and my dog Max and Anne for being my friend. And now I will read my poem. She imagined people sitting at the edge of their seats enthralled in her beauty. As long as her hair was right, nothing could go wrong.
Thank you, Alicia. Yes. We have recognition of how the story reflects Black women's complicated relationship with their hair. We have a comment, love the hair story, found myself thinking, I remember the days of wanting straight hair. This is going to be a great book for little girls and their mamas. Okay, there we go. This is going to be a great book for little girls and their mamas for the message and learnings. Thanks for writing. It made me laugh and smile. Applause. A comment from your fellow writer. I love this story. The characters, the relationships, and all the descriptions Keely is sharing with you. Lots of acknowledgement for your work and your story, Alicia. All right. Let's have TT's second poem now. I can't hear you. Are you talking to us, TT? So
Okay.
real. I love this story, the characters, relationships, and description. Okay. All right, TT.
Okay. So, are we sharing one more time after this, or?
You can if you'd like. You have another poem after this, you can.
Well, so I have a really short one that I want to share, and then maybe I'll do the other one after. Okay, so this one is called No Love Lost. I was searching for the love I lost, and I damn near paid the cost. But I realized that it wasn't worth all the energy which I had earned. I can't lose something that's truly meant for me. I must learn to respect my destiny, honor and appreciate the love I still have, and use that love to direct my path. We go through life exchanging vibes. And to the game, I've paid my tithes. Now I know I get to choose whether I shall win or lose. My focus is what determines my truth. Being focused on loss, that's what made me lose. When I focus on my victories, that's when I'll step into my winning season.
Thank you. We have love in the comments.
Thank you.
Ah. Oh, more comments. Beautiful.
you.
Yeah. All right. Winning season. I love that. Fire.
Thank you.
Love the clarity. Oh, thanks for the supportive words for our writers. It means so much. And next up we have Keely. I'm smiling because we all were like crazy over this piece that she's about to share.
Don't hype it too much.
Okay. Yeah.
Keep expectations low.
It's all right.
Okay. So yeah, I think the final piece that I'm reading maybe got a little bit of a different feel to the others and has definitely been inspired by my travels. And it actually started as a short story that I wrote for some Spanish homework. And it really kind of developed from there. So this is called Arabella. Arabella woke early as always. She felt a little more tired than usual, but that was to be expected, she supposed. Yesterday had been long and difficult. Slowly she opened her eyes, dark and brilliant like diamonds, and blinked against the morning sky. The sun was a soft powder blue, air still holding the fresh coolness of the night before. Arabella stared out at her view over the wide river, taken in its vast stillness at that time of the day, before the fishing boats and kayaks found their way onto the water. The egrets still perched on the giant tree across from Arabella's home, individually fluffing their milky white feathers before the group lifted as one into the sky to fly and dive for small silver fish. Hummingbirds, their green and purple plumage glittering in the morning sun, silently flapping in front of large open flowers taken in their morning nectar. The clear river reflected the deep green and brown of the trees hanging over the mountain ridges, rising from each side of the riverbank. Tangles of tree roots climbing down the sides and into the warm water. There were no clouds in the sky, and the morning sun was a perfect tangerine-coloured circle, ready to burn away the coolness of the night and heat the sky until it is sweet and sticky like the juice of a blood orange. Arabella stretched out her long legs, hairs bristling against the new senses of the morning and the memories that came of the day before. Yes, yesterday was difficult. Not because this was her first murder. She'd killed many times before. It was part of her routine now, like eating and drinking, or the daily walk she took to stretch her long legs each afternoon under the shaded cool of the trees as the sun beat down above, picking her way carefully through crunchy fallen leaves and twigs covered in bioluminescent fungi, the sound of the forest echoing all around her, croaking frogs below, the scurrying of beetles against tree bark, and the squawk of gulls circling close above. She remembered her first murder. It had been easy, a fat, noisy, nosy neighbour who was always buzzing about her home. And then one day he buzzed right inside. What was she to do? She had built her home herself, painstakingly finding the exact spot she wanted, one shaded by the trees with a view of the water, grabbing the perfect moment to build during the river's 4-day cycle of rising scorching sun to the downpours, where water fell from the sky in fat droplets, turning the forest floor to mud. She loved her home, surrounded by the wet, warm mist created as the rain was pulled upwards again by the sun. Her home was her safe space, and if you entered it without permission, you couldn't leave. She had built it that way. When the neighbours, friends, and family had come looking for him, she killed them too. She'd never felt bad about it. The opposite, in fact. She had always felt satisfied and full. But yesterday was different. This beautiful being had taken Arabella's breath away, both delicate and soft and striking and strong. As always, the movement had alerted Arabella to the presence of her prey. Her long legs, striped black and yellow like a wasp, moved quickly across the web while she observed everything through her 8 beautiful eyes. But in place of a plump, juicy fly, she found a blue morpho, the queen of all insects. With outstretched wings, she was twice the size of Arabella, the same soft blue of the morning sky. Her wings were lined with soft charcoal black, small drops of white along their edges. The white dots looked hand-painted, almost the same, but slightly different to the one sitting alongside it. Her wings flapped and fought against the golden web without seeing it until the last moment, and then unable to stop the motion of her flight before becoming entangled in lines of golden floss. They ripped against the sticky web, tiny feathery scales detaching to try and set her free, but she had landed too close to the center, and each time she freed herself from one sticky strand, it was replaced by another which held her tight. Up close, Arabella was struck by the butterfly's size and arresting beauty. Her elegance reminded Arabella of herself. She had thought briefly about using the pincer-sharp tips of her legs to cut the web. The butterfly would make a small meal anyway. Her big, beguiling wings, bitter to the taste, left only her body as food. It would be a waste, really. But as she got closer, Arabella saw that the blue morpho had injured her wing. She would never fly again. The kindest thing to do would be to end her pain. Arabella caught her own reflection in the butterfly's large, bulbous eyes as she rushed forward, her legs wrapping around the body. Her fangs flashed as she bit down quickly, releasing her strong venom. Almost instantly, the butterfly froze underneath her, and she worked quickly, spinning it round and round in her light web until her legs no longer held a stiff body, but a light, fluffy cloud, like a ball of spun sugar hanging in the air. The sun was almost due to set by the time she'd finished wrapping up the butterfly, and she was tired. She looked up at the sky sleepily. Each direction showed a different scene, 4 totally unique skies. To the west, a soft white sun just poised to fall behind the mountains, light dancing over the water below. To the east, a full moon, where it had been just a slither a few days before, translucent and misty and grey. To the north, the dark outline of trees against a deep stony sky, and to the south, a clear dusty blue. It was cool where the day had been hot. Tiredness overcame any feeling of hunger, and Arabella made her way to the middle of the web, where she fell asleep immediately. Now in the cool of the morning, Arabella thought about the events of the day before. She strung at the strings of her web, the vibrations coursing through her to provide a 3D view. The outstretched lines pulled softly at the points glued to and around the surrounding tree branches. Fine thread-like strands crisscrossed this way and that between them. Stillness, but for the light morning breeze catching the odd wisp of web that had come loose in the night. No struggling fly trying to wiggle itself free. No confused insect trying to pull its way out of the web that it had accidentally stumbled into. Just the butterfly cloud from the night before. Arabella could feel a soft growl growing in her stomach. Well, she thought, food is food, I guess. And she stretched her legs and scurried across the web for breakfast.
Let's see what they say. Keely, words like delicate paintbrush, beautiful, delicacy, creating both light and shadow. Wow, murder just dropped in. Got my attention for the unexpected. Oh my, I loved it. Fire, heart emojis. Yes. Oh, that was the message to me. I'm so glad that this is being, the other writer, I'm so glad that this is being recorded so I can get my daughter to hear it. TT is happy that she'll be able to play your story for her daughter. Wow, loved it. Oh, okay. We're gonna have two more selections to take us out. We'll have Alicia with a very short selection from her, another selection from her children's book, and TT with a short poem as well. Alicia says, the beautiful descriptions make me cry. Oh my gosh. I thought you were crying, but I was like, no, she's not crying. She never cried in class. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, wow. Love the twists and beautiful descriptions. Yep. Okay. Next up is Alicia with one more selection from her story, followed by Tiara.
Okay. I love this story so much. Let's see. Okay, so I will read another section of this long story that's supposed to be a picture book over a long time ago. Now it just keeps going on. But it's been a lot of fun. Let's see. So almost there. Okay. Okay, so Callie is at school. No one seemed to notice Callie's new hairdo on the bus Monday. You look different, Anne said, surveying Callie's new look. Patrick flipped his head sideways so he could see past his long red bang. Hey, what happened to your big hair? It's gone, Callie sang. I don't like that, Patrick said. I like it the other way. Anne shrugged her shoulders too. It doesn't matter what you think, Callie said. Does your hair take hours to comb and dry? Callie said, pulling her own ponytail forward to stroke and twirl it just like Anne. Hours? I think that's a hyperbole, Patrick said, wondering if Anne and Callie would notice his new word. Well, it's not, Callie said. Only she and Mama understood what it was like to have Callie's hair. You're it, Patrick said, reaching for Callie's hair. Callie stepped back. Come and chase us. I can't sweat today, Callie told Patrick. Tomorrow's the big day. No big hair for my big day. Come on and jump rope with us, Donna said. No, Callie answered. My hair will get big and bushy. And she decided to ask Miss Stuckey if she could wipe down the board during recess. Oh, look at that new hairdo, said Miss Stuckey. I love it. Callie smiled. She loved Miss Stuckey. She always had a beautiful smile, was always positive, and she let the class write whatever they wanted. I'm here to help out if you have anything for me to do, Callie said. It's getting cloudy outside and I can't get my hair wet. Miss Stuckey smiled. I love your poems about hair, she said. It reminds me of when I was younger, always running away from water and humidity, which is difficult when you grow up on an island. I missed out on a lot of fun things growing up, trying to make my hair do something it didn't grow to do. Well, I like having straight hair, Callie said, because my other hair is too big and poofy. Callie touched her new style. I like this much better. Do you really? Yes, the other hair is wild and it won't behave. I never know what it's going to do in the morning, and it never looks the same at the end of the day. After a long day at school, Miss Stuckey asked, when you have played outside, is it supposed to look the same? Callie could see where this is going. Well, the other girls' hair seem to act right, but mine doesn't lay down. It gets bushy right here and it grows big up there. So you would rather have hair that doesn't stand out? Callie nodded. But your hair is so amazing, Miss Stuckey said. Look at all the things it can do. You can wear it short and fluffy or straight and long. You can pull it up into puffs of smoke that say you're on fire. Callie giggled. Teachers were always trying to use kid slang. Miss Stuckey was saying that Callie's hair was fire, which meant it looked good. She had never thought of her natural hair as being fire. Any way you wear it, Miss Stuckey said, it rocks. Sometimes it feels too big, Callie asked. That's okay, Miss Stuckey said, it's your hair. Sometimes it's too much to comb, Callie said, thinking of her sore shoulder and wrist. Yes, but it's your special thing to take care of. It comes out of your head, and it's a part of your story. Have you ever thought of you and your story? Callie had not, although sometimes she felt that she was in the storybook that someone bigger than her was reading. I'll bet you have hair like other people in your family. Callie pictured Mama. She had thin curly hair, but she kept it straightened. Her auntie Deidre also had thick hair like hers, but she also wore it straightened. In fact, all of her aunties kept their hair relaxed with a perm. She kept thinking, Mommy, she answered, smiling, I do have hair like someone in my family. I have hair like my grandmother. Does she like it? Callie shrugged. I don't know, but I like it, she said. Callie loved to watch her grandfather rub oil onto Mommy's hair and then brush it back into a cute little ponytail. Mommy has wavy hair, just like mine, with tiny curls that look like noodles. Callie's smile grew bigger. My hair is just like hers. Miss Stuckey scribbled on a piece of paper. I've learned to celebrate my hair in whatever way it grows, Miss Stuckey said. My cousin told me that curly hair dries, frizzes, and breaks without moisture. So I began to look for products that give my natural hair what it needs to be strong. Callie pronounced the words that she could, and Callie pronounced the words and tried to sound the others out. Papaya, jojoba, coconut oil. Miss Stuckey helped her to read them. Mama would have to remind her of the new words that she didn't know. Maybe one day she could try something that would let her enjoy her curls, and then she could play whenever and however she wanted to. She wouldn't have to get her hair straightened, which usually resulted in a burnt ear and a fried, greasy smell that didn't leave her nostrils for days. She also wouldn't have to remember to wear her rain cap to protect her new style from the muggy weather. She wouldn't have to run for cover when the weather turned muggy or the skies opened up to rain. It was no fun to sit aside while her friends played just because her hair was done. Thanks, Miss Stuckey, she said as the recess bell rang. Students filed into the building. Dark clouds peeked through Miss Stuckey's classroom window. That's it.
Thank you, Alicia. Look at Miss Alice. I saw Miss Alice laughing when Alicia mentioned about the burnt ear, and we all know that pain. Beauty takes pain. Oh, I love this story. Great detail. Tell it. Awesome. Come on, publish it this year. Uh-oh, Alicia, you got demands. Publish it this year. I love celebrating the amazingness of hair and the story of it. Thanks for writing and reading. Oh, gratitude for this story, Alicia. People are waiting on it. There are people who need it, who need to hear it. Oh, I love it. All right. I know that means a lot to Alicia, because if I can just say that, Alicia, if I can just say that on your behalf, I know that your responses and you being here, and it really means a lot for her story and all the painstaking attention she's put into it. We have TT taking us out with a poem, maybe? Is it a poem?
Yes.
Okay, with one more poem.
One more.
Then we'll get into our Q&A where you all get to indulge the writers in their process and love on them. Okay, TT.
So this poem is titled Here and Now. Right here, right now, I vow to be persistent. Fear is irrelevant. Doubt is non-existent. My faith is much stronger than the weight of my grief. Although at times my eyes still may weep, I understand that my tears only appear to water the soil of my peace. It has sprouted and flourished to the fullest extent. So I live this life with confidence. Right here, right now, I vow to be persistent. Pain is necessary, and progress is subsequent. If not for the waves my tragedies made, my triumphs would appear flat. Now I grin when I say that I've been through hell. because I took the scenic route back. Now I know the way like the back of my hand. Now I know it all was part of a plan to assure my unassertive mind that my ground is always solid, just as long as I stand. There are no accidents. What is meant. So I live this life with confidence right here and right now. I vow to be persistent. My heart is worthy. My mind is more than competent. All my life I was taught to second guess and think twice. Now I've learned to think once. Now once will suffice. My experience has revealed that it's best for me to follow my first mind. It's in first place for a reason. I was born to be a leader. I was not born to follow behind. I have broken the chains. My mind is now free. So when I look in the mirror, I'm truly pleased with what I see, because my beauty is now backed by wisdom and strength. So I live this life with confidence here and now.
Yes, thank you, TT. Yes, let's see what the comments are. It says scenic route, great poet, loved it, follow your mind. Let's come off of mute and just give these artists our love and our, yes, just really just share our, it's time to love up on them. This is the Q&A time. So, Miss Alice, you're the first off mute, and then I saw Linda. Would you like to ask anything or share anything about your experience here today?
This has been my first experience at hearing writers as they're developing their work. And I am just so impressed and amazed at what I'm hearing. Alicia, who I just dearly love, in the years I was growing up, I never heard or saw my experience in writing or on pictures. And your writing, the details about what little girls would go through, burnt ears and scalp and having to sit still to have, quote, the pretty hair. So real. And then to really begin to ask different kinds of questions about what their hair means. I was not able to do that until I was an adult. And I've worn a natural for many years in celebration of freedom from burnt ears and burnt scalp. So what made you, what was behind you writing that, Alicia? I know where it took me, but where did it come from in you?
Yeah, so I think I've been maybe thinking about it for a while, but it wasn't until I had an experience, I don't know, probably about 6 years ago. I was looking at some old pictures that had kind of resurfaced. An elder had passed away in the family, and there were some pictures that had resurfaced, and I found a picture of a person close to me that I love, and but I had never seen this person as a child. I always thought this person had grown up as, was born an adult, and so I see this picture of this person as a child, and I was just marveling. I just thought it was so beautiful, and I shared it with this elder. And her first response was, "Oh, I hate that picture. That was a terrible hair day," and and what was supposed to be what I thought was going to be a tender moment of connecting, totally turned into like this bad memory 60 years prior of a bad hair day, and so it helped me realize that, that like it's the journey. Is like really deeply the journey through like self-love and appreciation and self-acceptance, and that our lives are bigger than our hair, than what's happening on the top of our head, it helped me realize that this is like something that's passed on by generation, across generations, and we get to disrupt it, as soon as we are able to embrace our own truths and our own stories. And so And so I did grow up watching my grandfather brush my grandmother's hair. And when I did decide to go natural some years ago, that was what helped me. Like it actually, I felt so connected. Like I felt connected to my story. I think a lot of our lives, a lot of my life was always like trying to become worthy. And all, you know, when you do all these things externally to make yourself worthy. But when you just can connect to like your story and who you are and your enoughness based on, everything about you, just the way it is, you know, it just gave me a different sense of grounding, you know. So anyway, I'm hoping to be able to represent that in this story. And that wasn't a part of my original story, you know, 5 years ago. It really was just about telling about, you know, the process of getting your hair straightened and that sort of thing. But now, now that I've been able to open up and just take time with the process in this class, I'm starting to realize that, there's a way to bring this full circle and bringing it back to like, the inward journey back into myself, you know, which just seems like a really long journey. Now I'm right here, but you know, it's a long journey to come back to myself. So that's what I think. That's what this story is about.
Thank you.
And all the people in her life that are reminding her that you're good enough and you're perfect enough, just because you're a human being and not a human doing. You know.
Mhm.
Thank you for writing it.
A vulnerable response. Linda.
Ashe. First, I just want to thank Alicia for inviting me because Saturday morning is sacred and I just kind of like to lay around. But I was so just very excited to be here this morning and to hear all three of these voices. And so I know some of Alicia's story, but I wanted to ask Keely and Titi how, well, first I want to applaud both of your voices and Keely, the dark side. Oh my God. So, when you dropped that murder in there, I was like, oh, no, she didn't. It was great. So I'd like to hear more about how your writing has evolved since you've been in this process with this particular group for both of you. And Titi, I just want to celebrate, I'm a poet. And so to hear your voice is really wonderful. So I'd like to hear more about yours too.
So then, this is actually my second time on this course. So I did this course 3 years ago now, I think, when I hadn't done any writing for a really long time. And it really kind of helped me get back into it. And then, as I said in my bio, I'm currently on a year's trip through Central America with my partner and our 6-year-old twins. And so there's obviously lots of writing influence kind of around me every day. And more, I think also actually I got a message from my brother just as I'd started this trip saying, I really want you to write some more. He'd come to the last reading. And so there was obviously a little seed there. And as I went through, I started talking more and more about coming back and just getting that support of a group to kind of keep doing it, I guess. And the timings just seem to all work out with it. So, and it's been so amazing working with Marcia and the other authors. And I think just coming and being with other people who are, you know, in the same place with their writing and managing kind of different things with writing and are sometimes in different places one week to the next week. But yeah, it's just been such a supportive group. And it's been amazing to hear both of your work kind of develop. It's been a real honor to listen to your work kind of early on and later on. And it's just been really, really exciting to come to every week and to hear you both now. So thank you to everybody who's been a part of the space.
Yes, thank you, Keely.
I wanted to ask Keely something really quickly, because in the 5 weeks that you're in the course, didn't you go to like 3 different countries?
Yes, 3 or 4. Yeah.
So she's been traveling to different countries and writing and taking care of twins and being a wife and a mother and writing stories about spiders murdering butterflies.
I will never look at a spider in the same way again.
Right.
Oh, goodness.
Yep.
Yes. I think for me, the experience has just been, it's been a lot of accountability. It's been helping me stay on top of it, although writing has just been something that I've always loved to do and wanted to do. Now it's given me a little more like motivation. And as well, I think having the other authors, hearing their works and hearing how amazing a lot of, their work is, and then seeing their uncertainty about such amazing work, it makes me realize like, oh, I'm just as ridiculous as they are, thinking that it's something wrong with my work. Because I'll hear them, and it's just like, wait a minute, you're unsure about that. You need to publish it today. And so it's just kind of like it's a full circle kind of experience where we have Sia, of course, just being this awesome like figure in our lives, just always motivating, but as well having the other authors being, we're all in the same place, trying to, and then just getting the feedback from each other as well. And even there's been times where I had pieces that I've started and I just couldn't seem to get moving from maybe like the first or second line. And I'm like, let me just present it to my classmates and see. And it's like that feedback that you get from fellow artists is different than you get from, just your friends or whoever. And it was like the motivation just to like keep going on it. It's like, oh, this is worthwhile. And next thing you know, I'm finishing that piece that I only had 3 lines on for the last 3 months. Now I'm finishing it within the week, So it's a beautiful journey to go on, and it's just beautiful to see, all of our development through it all, and especially the variety that we've all brought, to the table. And I think it has made me a better writer, made me focus on different aspects that I wasn't so, keen on before. So yes, it's been a
And
beautiful.
I want to say something about C, and I think we all probably, just to build on what TT is saying. I love the approach that you've used throughout this process of inviting us to listen, to listen to others' works and express what things we're curious about. I've been in some spaces where you read your work to other writers and they immediately try to fix your writing the way they want it to be or the way they suggest it to be or whatever. But I just always feel like you've approached it as like very respectfully, and this is your space, this is your time, these are some questions that I have. Are there any curiosities out there? Is anybody curious about anything about, and it has like the questions have allowed me to decide, how I want to go or take the next step, or what questions I want to ask and what questions I don't want to ask, and what questions I want to answer from your curiosities and what questions I don't want to answer, what questions I just want to leave out there, unanswered or whatever. So anyway, I think it's a really beautiful space, and it helped me to slow down because I was on this path of this story is 5 years old. It needs to get done. I'm done with it. It's time to move on. But opening the space to be like, there is no time frame. You just be with yourself and just be with your writing. Let your writing take you where it wants to go, and you'll know when it's done. I just love like being able to back up from like the production oriented, deadline oriented space that I've been in, to just say like, yeah, let's just let go of control and trust the process, and that's been working a lot of spaces in my life these days. So I definitely appreciate it here as well.
Yes, yes.
Are there any more questions for the writers about their process? Miss Alice?
Yeah, Titi, you seem to write from a very personal space, very authentically. I'm impressed by that bravery. But what's it like for you to put so much of you out there?
I think honestly, that's like a journey I'm still on. I'm working on it. I think it's something I'm just kind of like compelled to do as well. Still learning how to open myself up, to just letting it be as it is. I think part of it is I I think of my work as like a way to communicate with the future. I don't really think of it as a now thing. I think about a lot of the artists of the past, Zora Neale Hurston, and as many that you can name who their works, they may have had some popularity, at that time, but the popularity grew later when they were, had passed on or whatever the case is. And so, there's no, there's no need for embarrassment, I guess, when I think of it as, okay, this is 100 years from now, they're going to dig this up. That's how I kind of like think of it, I guess, and so it's just, I want to just provide the most authentic voice that I can to the future. When I think about the now, I'm not as, it's just like how we when you look at a photo from today, it's like, I don't like this picture. Then if you see it 3 years from now, it's like, it's a different kind of appreciation. So I think catering to the future instead of thinking about the now, sometimes it helps me to just let it all out and be authentic.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you. Sia has helped me a lot too with that too. It's like a lot of times I will approach my writing in a voice where it's like, oh, you should do this or we should do this. And she's like, it's okay to just, be personal and show where that's coming from, and it's like, yes, 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 pull it out. And it just gives the best, the most authentic voice to my work. So
Wow. Thank you.
Any more questions or any other things you'd like to say? Oh, go ahead, Miss Alice.
Keely, what led you to get into the head of a spider?
right.
I don't know really. As I said, it was actually a piece of homework for a Spanish teacher. We were learning a past tense, and I had to write a story in these two different past tense. And I was like, I think quite a lot of time I find like I've got hundreds of little bits of writing, and they all just come out, but it's the pulling them together into a rounded story that I'm never quite sure. And this, I guess, took me out of my head because I had to produce something really quickly. So I just kind of wrote the story in as best as I could in my still kind of intermediate Spanish. And then all of the detail and stuff that, I love doing all came later. So yeah, it was quite fun because it came as part of this course too. And then I started thinking, I'm going to try lots of just weird and wonderful ways of writing and experimenting with my writing over the last few weeks. And it's been a really kind of safe, fun space to be able to do that and share that work.
Well, it was really fun to hear it. And this is a spider. It's fun.
Experience. Like, what you talking about, a spider?
Adding to what Keely said about how she just wanted to take this fun approach to her writing, Alicia, in the last class, you kind of commented, when we commented on Alicia's work, we were like, wow, something opened up for the work. And one of the things that I remember you saying, Alicia, was, well, Keely's having so much fun writing. I want to have that fun too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because again, this story has probably, I mean, it has a lot, at least 40 versions of it. And so I was hoping that, honestly, I was expecting that like within 8 weeks, I was just gonna cut and paste all the stories together and like, just I was just like in a whittling down process. I didn't, because again, I was on the I have to finish and produce something mode, and but the first couple of weeks I was lost in all of the different versions of it and what I'm keeping. And I like this new writing that I wrote 2 years ago, but I like this new writing I wrote 1 year ago and this one 5 years ago, and meanwhile, Keely is, not just, writing about, this amazing, I mean, several things, in on her journey and writing the different stories, but as she would come back with a story, she would be adding more details and, and like you could hear the crunching of the leaves as the spider was walking, and I was like, man, like, I want to have fun too. Like it's kind of boring, just cutting and pasting, and that's when I started to just kind of open up, when I realized that, that everything that the story needs is not yet here. There's still more to be revealed, So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun, and similar with TT, some of the writing, a lot of the writing that she's written is just so from the heart, and I can so relate to it and connect to the vulnerability of it. And like you said, but she, I get to like let her, be brave and do it. But a lot of it is just, it is saying like it's okay to step back and be human, that we don't have to live up to those stereotypes of the superhuman, the superwoman, like we can actually step back and be real and take care of ourselves. And so I've gotten a lot out of that.
Mhm.
I've loved watching this story develop. It's been so amazing. And kind of hearing relationships or characters that you really like. And then the next time you've read it, that character's really been developed. And yeah, I want stories on like the Washingtons and the teacher and all of these different characters. I want to know everything about all of them now. But I love both of your writing. It's been so amazing to be able to come and hear you read pieces over the last few weeks. Lots of inspiration for my writing too. So thank you.
Same. So much inspiration. I love the development, Alicia. I didn't realize that, and we missed each other last time. And yes, I'm loving the extending all the detail. I mean, it's so needed. This is beautiful. It's coming along so beautiful. And Keely, I'm loving the story too. I didn't realize. I'm excited to hear more about the friendship. And I remember hearing a piece of that one before, and now hearing more of it. It's just like, it's exciting. It's really exciting. I'm looking forward to some real good literature from both of you guys, all of us.
Yeah, I enjoy just being able to really experience England or London, I guess, is where the test goes, isn't, yeah. Getting to experience just the basic day-to-day life. Like, it's not romanticized. It's like this person, I remember being a mom and comparing myself to other people, or looking at and wondering if, this mom's life is more perfect, or I bet that they're doing the same thing that I'm doing. And it's just so fascinating to see that in a whole nother country. And it's the exact same thing, but yet the nuances of the details of that space. And yeah. And then obviously with Alicia's story of the hair, as we know, right? That's like so much a part of our identity and our, if you want to say, our struggle, our just everything, that was the whole Black Power movement. Part of it was freeing the hair to wear this big afro, right? So that's just amazing. And then always, of course, with Titi, one thing that I recognize when she did her poem Here and Now, I vow to. So I don't know if anybody else recognizes that line from a Luther Vandross song. And so, right? So one
Yes.
thing I recognize about Titi is the same thing I recognize in myself as a poet, because she has that background as a lyricist. And, you know, that's a part of hip hop, right? Is to extract pieces from things that already exist. And it's a nod to that, right? It's not actually a taking and a stealing, right? It's a nod. It's a way of acknowledging, like, this came before me, this was said before me, and now I'm going to remix it this way. So I think it's fascinating that she takes that and then she incorporates it into, you know, these poems. We have one more question from Linda.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask each of you, how was it for you to read today? How was the experience?
Beautiful, as always. I was nervous a little bit at first. Then it's like getting into it, and I feel like it was definitely an accomplishment. Like, I feel accomplished now, you know, like I've got that done. I've got it out to even more, you know, people. And yeah, I feel like a weight is lifted in a sense that I didn't even know was there, you know, until I got started. But yeah, it's a beautiful experience always. Things with
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Again, the same. I was a bit nervous in the hour leading up to it. But I think it is such an amazing supportive space. I kept thinking, no, it's not a reading. I'm just going to the Sunday session. We're just having the Sunday session on the Saturday. Yeah, I just kind of kept trying to remind myself just to enjoy doing it. And it was quite nice. I had to minimize my screen so I could see the writing on my screen, and it was just you, members here, and you were just smiling. So I was like, oh, that's good. I assume everybody else's faces looks the same.
Yeah, I would say that it was pretty nerve-wracking, but the faces, like the familiar faces and the faces of people who were supporting people I didn't know who were supporting people I know and love, was really helpful. I think it really was that. And then, like, allowing for response and support and celebration, you know, as it went on, you know, helped me realize that, yeah, this is, yeah, I don't think I'll ever feel ready, you know, or ever feel finished, you know, but like it's enough, you know, it's enough, you know, we've done enough, I've done enough, you know, and to get that affirmation, you know, throughout the entire, and to focus on the things that resonate and connect, you know, just helped me to gain even more energy and recharge for the next leg of this journey with this book. So I really
Alicia, one more thing I wanted to touch on is that huckabuck. You know, we might call it a snow cone or whatever, but it's just, I feel like I love how it's developing from a story just about hair to, you know, it's getting into so many different elements of, you know, who you are, where you're from. And it's just interesting, you know, it's like, I've never been to New Orleans, but I want to go, and I want to go even more. And yeah, that it gives it so much depth and so much, yeah, it's just interesting. I just can't wait for it to be done, get it done, so my baby can read it.
You know what? Now that you say that, Titi, that's right. The same experience I have with Keely of being dropped into London, I have that with Alicia being dropped into New Orleans or Louisiana. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah.
And what I learned, I shared this with a friend of mine who's actually from Mississippi, and her mom, I think her mom or her grandmother is from, I don't remember what, you know, but it's a kind of like central Mississippi. And she said they called it something else, but it was the same thing. They called it something else. And that conversation helped me. I want to say she said they called it maybe cold cups, which I've heard it called that, but not as much as frozen cups. We use frozen cups and huckabucks. But when she was growing up, and she was talking about, and that little piece I added about like people popping up and having different, you know, versions of their frozen cups. she was saying that there was like this big competition in the neighborhood for who had the better cups. Like, you know, the paper cups weren't as good as the plastic cups, you know, but, you know, not as good, you know, but more convenient than the styrofoam cups, you know, and so you would choose houses based on not just the flavor and, you know, but also, again, how easy it was to push it up and enjoy it, you know. And if it
Yes,
was, and if it
yes.
had too much water in it, then you would just bite down into ice, and that wasn't worth it, you know. But also, if you had a cup that like would break while you were trying to squeeze it, you know, you kind of knew not to go to that house again, you know. And so it's just interesting
Right.
again, to
Candy
be,
lady.
yeah.
Oh,
I thought
I
it was
love it.
I guess I thought it was a Louisiana thing when I looked it up. It's kind of a Louisiana and Georgia treat, so to speak, but there's so many varieties all over the South, you know. So that was something I learned just by writing from my perspective.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
That was completely new to me. I'd never heard that
Oh.
term before.
Right.
Okay.
Huckleberry.
We had
Okay.
the snow cones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you grew up in was it
Chicago, yeah.
Chicago?
Ah,
Okay.
okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's really different
Snowballs.
in all these different places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as you
Slushies.
described it, I recognize.
Slushies. I remember that slushie.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. And even just the neighborhood candy lady, and you know, it takes you there, you know. It's like I love that. I love all the new elements, and yeah, the descriptions of everything. Beautiful, beautiful work from both of you ladies. I'm so
Mhm.
excited.
Keely, are you continuing to work with the two friends? I've forgotten their names.
Yes, yes. So that's actually the story that I'd initially come with and wanted to work on. And then it kind of got put aside for some other bits. And then, yeah, it feels like it's done a bit of a full circle, because in the last couple of weeks I've started working on that again. So yeah.
Good. I'm anxious to hear how they develop.
I'll,
Me too.
I'll put everybody's, so maybe I can get your information and add you to the newsletter, and then I'll put everybody's contact in the newsletter, the next newsletter, so that you can stay connected to them and their stories.
Mhm.
Okay. All
Well,
right.
one of our assignments that Sia gave us was to text 5 or 6 different people to set up accountability. And so I'm really grateful for a few of my accountability partners who, you know, came into this call, you know, Dion and Alice and Linda and my friend, my sister, Helena, and there were a couple other people who couldn't make it. But
How was your sister? Oh.
yeah, but yeah, just that was helpful too, like having the accountability. And so it's also good to know that I can continue to share, you know, how the progress goes.
Mm.
Yes, and with us, please.
Right.
Oh, well, thank you everyone for being here. And I know a lot of people had to leave at a certain time, but a lot of people stayed to hear the bulk of it. So I'm just glad that y'all ladies did it. I'm glad that Alicia, you got through it, because I could tell you were so nervous. And
Yeah, we have to talk offline about I did not do what you suggested, which was to put it away at 7 o'clock yesterday.
I could tell, because I was like, she added a whole lot more. She did not put that away. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. And I hope that you all enjoy your day. Miss Alice, Miss Linda, Miss Gian, enjoy the rest of your lovely day. And I'll see the writers tomorrow.
All right.
Yeah, see y'all tomorrow. Thank you so much, everyone who commented and asked questions. Beautiful as always. See y'all tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you. See you everyone tomorrow.
Hey, y'all, take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.